So I'm used to doing Dragon Ball content, and I haven't really watched that much of Star Wars recently, so that's kind of why I haven't really done it. I did one video, did well, then didn't do it. So I'm going to return to it with what if Darth Vader and Anakin were separate people. So, with all that being said, let's get to it. We cut to Tatooine. Everything seemed normal, but then a woman, Shmi Skywalker, would have two twins. One she would name Anakin, and the other one, it doesn't matter what she would name it. As time went on, we cut to Palpatine and Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis tried to mess with the Force, and the Force rebelled and created something truly powerful, but it also created something truly evil. He could sense a dark being, a being with pure darkness, and a being with pure light. Two beings that counteract each other. Plagueis was interested about this, so he would send Darth Maul, Palpatine's assassin, and nothing more, at least that's what Plagueis thought, to retrieve him. Maul would go to hut, eventually finding Shmi Skywalker. As she was holding her two babies, suddenly a lightsaber would swing, cutting off her head. As Maul took the dark one, he looked at Anakin. He was tempted to kill it, but as he swung his lightsaber towards it, he felt the Force push against his back. It was Vader. Vader stopped Maul from killing his baby brother. Maul could kill them both. Well, I guess he could, but Palpatine would be upset, and he wouldn't want that. So, he decided to let it slide and just leave baby Anakin. Eventually, he would be found by the authorities, starving and almost dead. And they would call the Jedi, as the Jedi would let him in, because no one really wanted him. And Vader would begin his Sith training, as Anakin would begin his Jedi training. Things would continue just like in canon, but this time, Anakin would be brought up in the Jedi Temple since he was a little baby, and he wouldn't have any issues of darkness. He wouldn't have any doubts about the Jedi. He was fully brainwashed. But his brother, Vader, was trained under the Sith since birth. Darth Plagueis and Darth Maul were both dead. Palpatine trained him to lead the Separatists. Palpatine had a new plan. He was going to turn Vader into a scary threat. He was going to be a beast, a monster. He was going to slaughter Jedis, win battles. The Separatists weren't meant to win the war, but Darth Vader was meant to win battles. Darth Vader would be the figurehead of the Separatists. He'll be the face of the death of the Jedi. The Jedi will fear him. The Jedi will quake in their boots anytime they hear of him. He will be the threat he needs to get emergency powers. He'll be the threat he needs to control the Republic. And General Grievous will be Darth Vader's right-hand man, a coward but with cybernetic parts. Things would go perfect. The Battle of Geonosis would still happen, however, because the Separatists needed the Republic to have clones. They needed a war to bring Palpatine more power. However, Vader, when he fights a war, he wants to win a war. He's not going to be Palpatine's pawn. He had a plan. Anakin would get captured with Obi-Wan. This time, they'll be more careful since Anakin was brought up in the Jedi Order himself, but he would still get captured. As Anakin was there in chains, you would hear footsteps behind him. As he looked, it was Vader. Vader would look at him and take off his mask. Anakin was shocked. It was like looking into a mirror, except his eyes were pure yellow. "Who are you? I am your twin, Vader. We are brothers, and I want to team up. The Jedi have played you, they have used you, and they have tricked you into becoming their servant." Anakin would look at him and say, "That's not true, is it not? Do you know your mother was a slave? There's slaves all across planets, but the Jedi do nothing. The Jedi watch corruption slowly build up throughout the galaxy and do nothing to stop it. We can put an end to it. You and I can rule the galaxy as brothers." Anakin would begin to defeat him. Anakin was not tempted to join the dark side since he was in the Jedi his whole life. Vader would begin to laugh. "I assumed this would be hard. So, I am going to take you under my wing, train you, and force you to become part of me. Force you to join the Empire, whether you like it or not." Suddenly, Anakin would feel a shock come to his neck as Darth Vader began to execute him as he had chains around him. Anakin began to scream out in pain and anger until he passed out. Battle of Geonosis would continue just like in canon. Vader would be able to leave, however, and things would start to play out like normal. With Anakin gone, they assumed that the dark side killed him. They assumed that the Sith got to him. However, the Jedi still had hope. Anakin was one of the best Jedi they had, and he was extremely powerful. They had hope that he didn't die. However, Yoda feared something even worse. He feared that the Sith had taken Anakin, and began to mold him. As we cut to Anakin, he'll be waking up, still in chains. As he looked around, there was droids all around him. Vader would be in front of him. It is time to begin your Sith training. I'll never join you. Vader would then laugh and say, yes, you will. As Vader began to pick Anakin up with the Force, he made all the chains go away. He broke the chains and threw him down to a pit. In the pit was monsters all around him. As Vader threw him a lightsaber. If you want to survive, you'll have to kill them. Anakin began to ignite his lightsaber, but it was red crimson. Anakin didn't like that, but he had no choice but to use it. As the monsters came at him, Anakin began to slaughter them one by one like animals. Vader saw this and was impressed. He liked Anakin. He liked his brother. Even though he was brainwashed, that's all he had. He knew Palpatine didn't care about him, and he was the only one he had a connection with. Sure, it was just blood, but it was something. As Anakin got done slaughtering them all, he looked up and said, "You're next." As Vader began to laugh and say, "That's the attitude of a Sith." As Anakin jumped up from the arena onto the stage and charged at Vader, droids would step in, but Anakin would destroy these droids. Vader would hit a button, activating Anakin's shock collar, causing him to fall down. Vader would look down on him and say, soon we will fight together, and we will kill Palpatine and kill the Republic. As a few years passed, it was 2 years into the Clone Wars. The Jedi have not seen much of Anakin, their chosen one. It seems like he is dead, and he was no longer the chosen one. The prophecy was just a prophecy. Nothing more to it. However, one day, Palpatine would get a call. Vader would find some Sith artifact, an artifact that possessed massive power that him and Palpatine could use. Palpatine was intrigued by this, so he decided to go there. But as Palpatine landed, he saw Anakin and Vader, both ignite red lightsabers. As Palpatine would say, "So this is what happened to Anakin. You thought you could get rid of me with your brother? I'm sorry, but you are mistaken." As Palpatine would say, "Execute Order 6, as all of the droids would turn on Anakin and Vader, begin to surround them. As they were surrounded by wave after wave of droids, they knew they had to kill Palpatine for them to stop working. They slaughtered more and more. Palpatine would then charge in on Vader, shooting lightning at him. Vader would begin to shoot lightning back, but he was shooting lightning and fighting droids at the same time. Anakin and Vader were separated. This was the only way Palpatine could win. He knew it. Anakin saw this, however, and he began to run super fast. So fast that a human eye could barely even see him. As he ran so fast that droids couldn't even shoot him. As then he jumped up and kicked Palpatine to the ground. As he began to swing his lightsaber, Palpatine was distracted. It took everything Palpatine had to hold off Anakin. But as he was holding him off, Vader slaughtered wave after droids. Both of them were getting more and more tired. As suddenly, Vader would shoot lightning straight in Palpatine's back, causing Anakin to cut off Palpatine's head. As all the droids deactivated, Anakin and Vader fell down from exhaustion. Any second longer and they would have died. This was surely a close call. But they did it. They managed to defeat Palpatine. And with Palpatine dead, they decided to rest for a few hours to get their stamina back. After that, it was finally time to destroy the Republic. Vader would call in all the droids in reserves. He didn't need to reserve them for battles. Vader was going to go for the head. There was battles all across the galaxy. However, the only one that mattered would be the Battle of Coruscant. But Coruscant was well defended. However, that wouldn't matter since all the defense were clones. As then Vader and Anakin gathered up a massive droid army, they began to fly above the capitals. Then they executed Order 66. All of the clones began to let the droids in, and even joined them in the assault. Wave after waves of clones and droids ran up the capital, surrounding the Jedi. The Jedi held fierce, but they began to get outnumbered and worn out as they slowly were slaughtered one by one. As Anakin and Vader and General Grievous walked up the stairs, they hunted Jedis together. All three of them would attack them at once, with waves of clones and droids. The Jedi were bogged down and were slaughtered massively. No matter what they did, they couldn't do anything to defend themselves. Even Yoda, Mace Windu, and the Grand Masters couldn't do anything. Vader, General Grievous, Anakin, and with a whole army against them, they all fell. As Anakin and Vader took over the galaxy and ruled it as brothers, they would turn the galaxy into a utopia, at least in their eyes. No more slavery, and many ideas and policies would pass, just like Count Dooku wanted, ironically, since he wouldn't be a part of the Separatists in this timeline. However, it would be a dictatorship under the two of them, and the galaxy would never know democracy ever again. And that's going to leave things off. Hope you enjoyed this video. I might do Star Wars content. I don't know. I was doing it for a little while, then I kind of stopped because I'm not really watching Star Wars that much because I don't have Disney Plus. But what do you think I should do? Let me know in the comments below. Peace out.